Before you start a surgery, you need to check that all systems are in place and that all systems are working properly. You need to check the light source, for example, that it is switched on, and you also need to do the white balance of your lighting system. And this is what you do with the buttons which are located on the handle of your endoscope. You also need to check the irrigation system and that there is no water leakage in the connection area where the pipe is basically connected to the endoscope. In case there is a leakage on your endoscope, you may need to reassemble the adapter by pressing this blue button, by releasing this adapter, and then you need to check the two rubber rings, maybe put them back into place, and then you put this adapter back on until you can hear a click sound, and then you know that the system is tightly sealed. So that's what you need to do with respect to the irrigation system. One question or one concern that often comes up in this context is that of fluid management, and let's say the fear or concern that you are unlimitedly increasing the intraspinal pressure, and the fear that this may have potential implications on the patient's safety. We are working here with an open irrigation system, and what it means is that all fluid which is being inserted into the spinal canal will automatically flow out. And this is due to the design of the endoscope. The outer working sleeve is round and the actual endoscope inside is rather ovally shaped. And this will leave a small space in between the endoscope and the outer sleeve. This is what we are referring to when we're talking about an open system. And this also cannot be changed by the surgeon, no matter what you're doing during the surgery. So from that point of view, perhaps I can take away your concerns in that respect. And I recommend, therefore, that you rather work with an open system and not with a closed system, which is also available on the market. Next step, we need to check that the bipolar is working fine. The bipolar is placed by your feet, and you have one yellow pedal and one blue pedal. The yellow pedal is for cutting mode, and the blue pedal is for coagulation. Just for your information, we are working with a 4 megahertz radio frequency system, which is also for safety reasons and which enables us to work very close to the neurostructures because it only applies the heat very locally. Make sure that you don't confuse the left and the right pedal nevertheless, especially when you are working in very close proximity to the nerves, that you don't use the cutting mode because this will significantly increase the intensity of your current and maybe create too much of local heat. Still, during the surgery, rather make sure that you only apply short electric impulses, like short electric impulses. Don't apply continuous electricity for exactly that reason, for extended periods of time, as you might otherwise create too much local heat around the nerves. Finally, before the surgery, you also need to check that the high-speed burr works properly. You can use a little bit of lubrication with saline solution, which will reduce the friction inside this burr, and this will make it last longer a little bit and just run more smoothly. You can use the high-speed burr either by using it with a pedal, just like the bipolar, or you can use it also with the control buttons which are located on the back handle of the burr. In the beginning, I would recommend that you use the pedals rather, as you can immediately take off your foot and therefore immediately stop the burr when you think that you have to by releasing the foot from this pedal, rather than having to look for the control buttons on the burr. At later stages, when you feel more comfortable with using the burr, I would recommend that you control the burr with the buttons on the burr itself. And then you have less pedals, the bipolar pedal, the pedal for the burrs, and this will simply make it a little bit more user-friendly for you as the surgeon. One small but very useful tip that I would like to give you is you can also build this barrier that you can see here. This building such a barrier will guide all of the irrigation, all of the water during the surgery just to one side into the collection bag, where you may leave the suction in place, and then you simply put in the suction on one side, and that will drain all of the irrigation fluid that you're using during the surgery. Finally, before you start the surgery, you also need to check the image quality and that all optical systems are working perfectly fine. So you see, all in all, there is a lot of technical equipment that we need to take care of before and during our surgeries. All of this shows you that your team is very important, and all of your teammates will have to go through a similar learning curve like you do as a surgeon. For example, you need to know how to assemble the bipolar. You need to know how to set up the imaging systems, how to get the irrigation system running, the pressure of the irrigation system, and so on and so on. So from this point of view, it's important that everybody on your team gets the same kind of teaching that you're getting. So perhaps send your teammates, your nurses, your assistants, send them over to us or any other center that has experience with working with endoscopic surgeries. You may perhaps also join some of our endoscopic courses, or you may get in touch with your local RIWOspine team. And this will also take away a lot of your pressure and your excitement when you are doing your first surgeries, when you know you don't have to focus on all of this stuff because your teammates know how to take care of all of this. Finally, of course, we will do in all surgeries, we will do the WH timeout as a last and final safety check before we start our surgeries.